Welcome to the Tech Savvy Professor podcast, which features two faculty members who love tech and love making it part of their work. I'm Marty Gensius, a program coordinator at Kent State University for the counseling program.
And I'm Eric Perry, program director at Divine Mercy University for our Master's in Counseling program.
So I don't know, maybe it's been 10 days or so since we did one of these, or maybe 2 weeks since we did one of these. What's going on with you? Anything new in your world, tech-wise or other, that you care to share?
I think the topic today is timely. So I've been working with faculty around a new process and how we mark attendance in online courses. And we've tried a couple of different things to help faculty understand how to do it. And truthfully, it's really kind of an easy process. And we still have some folks struggling. So we've been thinking about new ways to kind of demonstrate how to use technology. So today's topic was a really timely one.
So it sounds like you're actively engaged in this technology teaching stuff. And when I thought of the topic, our topics today is helping colleagues learn new tech without losing your mind. And I just kind of thought about those incidental flyby, drive-by tech questions that happen to faculty who are tech savvy, and the colleagues kind of want to use that as a possibility. But you're in the thick of it in terms of teaching faculty how to use tech. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because we've tried a couple of different methods, more traditional stuff like writing out directions and
Yeah.
recording a demonstration video, which has, been sort of helpful. But we've tried a couple of things that I think might be helpful for listeners too, who find themselves in that somebody always wants to ask a question kind of scenario, the tech professor seat, and they want to make their lives a little easier, right?
Yeah. So I one of my questions then is, I guess we'll get into the questions about that specific thing. I generally wind up with, "Hey, do you know how to do this?" kind of question, and it's kind of in the moment problem solving for whatever purpose. I think we have good tech support, but I think our tech support really is myopic in terms of how to use technology, and they're very much Windows based in their process. And I think probably half or more of our faculty, at least in our program, are Mac based. And so I get questions that come my way about doing that, or if there's just a new kind of project that they want to do, like say we want to record an orientation video or something like that. What are the various ways we can do that, and how can that platform be done? So they're more kind of future project-based questions. Faculty, I have to admit, pretty much have dug into what they do and how they do it with the technology that they have. So I don't get a lot of, "How come my windows keep freezing?" It's because they know how to manage that and they know how to do that. So, anything new with you in your world outside of the topic for today?
Not a whole lot. I mean, kids are busy, family's busy, work's busy. Our term started just a few weeks ago, so getting things up and rolling is always busy.
Yeah, we started about 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
We're in our third week, and so we're kind of clearing out all the initial meetings and all the stuff that happens at the beginning of the semester, and we can kind of get down to work. And it's also the point where people start to ask you to be on this committee or sit on this dissertation or do that, because kind of your plate's been cleaned from the beginning of the stuff that happens at the semester. For me, yesterday was a big day or 2 days ago was a big day because it was new iPhones, new watches, new earbuds. So other podcasts that I've been on, that's been the source of discussion. And, because most of the stuff I'm on is Mac focused. And so It's been interesting this week, and we'll be playing it out tomorrow morning. From when we record today is when everything goes on sale and everything goes on pre-order. So I'll be up playing that game and seeing what can happen, and then juggling the bank accounts to make sure things work out well. So one of the sites that we have is a kind of a GCF Global, which is creating opportunities around technology in a better way. It's a tutorial, it's a free course, just basics about computers and what computers do. So it might be a good review for some folks, or if you have some folks that are really kind of technophobic, this might be a good step by step way for them to get further in an understanding of what they're using. Then there is the Tech Boomers Wikipedia page, which has some resources, is an educational website that teaches older adults and inexperienced internet users how to use various websites and internet-based applications. So Tech Boomers, this is a link to their Wikipedia page. Then resources for basic computer and mobile skills. Learn how to perform essential tasks on devices to support homeschool and working and learning. This is the PA, Pennsylvania, I assume, Adult Educational Resources portal, and it has all sorts of different levels and information about managing hardware, adapting to new software, and such. And then 5 ways to help teachers with tech right now. This is from the We Are Teachers site, which talks about how to manage and help teachers around the idea of technology. And then 5 ways coaches can support technology integration. This is from Learning Forward, Professional Learning Association. Computer Basics, this comes out of Rogers Free Library, and it has an information literacy course, and then other tutorials related to computer basics, window basics, fundamental skills for computers and laptops, foundational skills for iPads and tablets. And then Madison College Libraries also has some online basic training for computers and information on there. So all of these links will be in the show notes. You might want to look at those as you'll find them either on the video portion of this at our YouTube channel or on the podcast audio portion. Just look in the show notes and you'll get that information that you need.
So I wanted to give a couple of suggestions, like around the same kind of topic for basic literacy.
Yeah.
Really great places to check into. If you're looking for somebody that needs a little bit more remediation, your career centers. So we have PA CareerLink in Pennsylvania, who generally have lists of basic computer literacy classes, some grant-funded opportunities. Even your counseling centers can have some access to those resources. Working with a few clients, I've had the opportunity to connect them with some basic computer literacy courses that they could take both online or in person in the community. So there's some great resources out there if you dig around a little bit for somebody who's really just getting started learning with technology, or maybe isn't a digital native and wants to do something. Those can be really great tools.
I've got this. I found this somewhere, and I will share it with you verbally and put it into the show notes. The 7 rules for teaching computer learning for folks who are not necessarily computer strong. Start with a purpose, not a feature. Mm-hmm. So you kind of ask the question, what do you want to do? Not, let me show you this cool thing. And if you're going to be that colleague that supports somebody in learning that, make sure you're doing only one task per session. Get them successful on one task. And I know this might apply because we had a pre-show conversation about you having to do this with faculty. the process being I do, we do, and you do is another kind of step by step. Demo it once, do it together, then have them do it solo. Use their words and write it down into simple steps, maybe making step cards. Now, what I found is using AI. If I need to figure out how to do something, I'll use AI and it'll do a nice job saying step one, do this, step two, do this, step three, do that. And that's kind of a very helpful way of doing it. Slow down the tempo if you can. Use photos whenever. I mean, give time. We are who are computer savvy kind of just do a lot of this intuitively. And then you go here, then you go there, then you go there, and you click here, there, and there. You got to slow it down for folks who don't know that and how to use that process. And then jargon like two-factor authentication. Just those words kind of either frighten or confuse people. What does that mean? Simply, it's a second step to prove it's you. So you're going to do two steps in this process in order to prove that you are who you are. And then praise whatever process, whatever progress they have with that. So I'll put those 7 rules up as part of the show notes to take a look at. Does any of that apply to the situation, if you're free to share, in terms of the experience you have working with faculty?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we found was helpful was just demonstrations. So if we can record it, they can rewatch it, keep it, slow it down even, pause it and redo it. It helps, especially with tasks that you don't do so often. So there's a couple of processes that faculty have to use technology for and systems they don't normally use, maybe twice, 3 times a year. So there's not an expectation they would really learn those. They kind of walk through it. It takes a few minutes, but to retain it, not so much. I really like Scribe for things like this too. So if anybody's ever used Scribe, it's a pretty simple way to put together step-by-step instructions, and allows you to kind of order things with screenshots and highlight certain areas that you want them to click on. I think you can put one together in just a couple of minutes that helps somebody with the visual part. So it's not taking a ton of time from you, but can be really more helpful than just the written instructions for those who are more visually oriented. So those have been really helpful.
Good, good. And again, we'll include Scribe in the show notes. Let me raise another. Well, let me start to raise some questions, and I'm curious about this on your end. I've kind of assembled 3 questions for us to discuss for the remainder of the show, or anything else that we want to add into after that, we can. But how do you decide when to step in and help, and when to redirect colleagues elsewhere?
Well, I used to think about this a little differently. So I used to think that it was just easier to just supply the information. And in some instances, maybe that is okay, right? You're the person they're supposed to contact. You're the kind of point person, then that makes sense. But I think a lot of times when I've already provided the information, or where there's times where it's not supposed to be me giving them those resources and letting them kind of use those is helpful. RIT is great. They're fantastic, but a lot of what they can't help with are the program specific processes that we use some of the systems for. They can help with kind of the basic things. But I think about this in terms of, am I the person they should contact? And is it going to be most beneficial for me to help them, or for me to refer them to either something we've already sent or done, or to someone else who really is the point for that particular process?
Yeah, I try to keep my guardrails. So if it's something complicated like our LMS and how to deal with our LMS, we have a couple of guys on the second floor who know how to do that better than I ever will.
Hmm.
Most of my LMS learning has been through try this, try that, try this. And so my approach would be the same with someone who's trying to get a question answered on that. And that's not the best thing for them to learn, and they might not retain it anyways. Poking around until they find something that works is probably not their learning style. So I have to be careful about that. If it's something simple like I can't figure out how to get my laptop to work with the projector in the particular classroom I'm in, we have some really crazy arrangements for how we plug our laptops into the display system within the classroom they're in, and of course it's a different experience for someone with a Mac versus someone with a PC. Seems to be set up and it might be just the way the difference between the operating systems that PCs seem to run pretty well with this making the connection, whereas we have to find the secret button to push to make the Macs work with it, and there are only certain output opportunities that you have or certain ports that you can use in order to get it to happen, and then you've got to do a whole mirroring thing, and so those are kind of troubleshooting stuff that if I'm in the classroom next door and I come in and they're standing there and they want some help, I'll go over and try and troubleshoot with them. So, but if I get stuck there, then it's like go up to the second floor, send some student up to go grab somebody from tech. I got to get into my class to do my thing. So it's more of an immediate piece for me. There are things that are completely out of my realm. I don't want to know. Like, I don't want to know how to use Drupal. Well, I kind of know how to use Drupal, but I don't want to know how to use it at the university level because as soon as I do, then I become responsible for our program website and making changes to Drupal. So those are the kinds of things I would send out. The LMS stuff, the university website stuff, I encourage faculty to go check with the folks who are in charge of that to make that happen. Sometimes I get requests for how do you initiate a listserv. Well, there's a whole online process that you can get that set up, and they'll set it up for you for whatever purpose that you have. So, what strategies do you use to avoid overwhelming someone with a new tool?
I'm bad at this, so just let me be honest. Because I get excited, I think, a lot of the time when we have the opportunity to use something new. So, as an example, we just got our AI feature turned on for Zoom. So, I got just a deluge of questions about how do we use this and what can we use it for. And, it was interesting because a lot of those emails came to me instead of IT, which is great. And I think I went a little overboard saying, oh, well, it can do this and it can do that. And, there's all kinds of things that we can do. Um, for me, I think managing my own excitement sometimes is a big part of it. I think another is just thinking about how people tend to learn. For me, a lot of this is intuitive. I get excited about the process where others can get nervous or anxious about things changing. Um, so the previous advice that you gave about, giving things kind of in small chunks. Some of you who may be faculty have probably dealt with this in the past. When you switch an LMS, you've gone from Desire to Learn to Blackboard or from Blackboard to Moodle or, one of those. It can be a lot because you're changing essentially how your entire courses have been structured for so long. It's a lot of change at once. So I think breaking it up into smaller chunks is helpful, and taking the time to really make sure you have the resources to support that tool. Like, where's the help guides? How do they get support? Who's responsible for it? Make sure that the structure's there.
I guess my answer to this question about what strategies do you use to avoid overwhelming someone with a new tool, I deliberately overwhelm them. The reason is then they don't come back to ask me a second time how to do something. It's strategic incompetence that if you are a poor teacher, people won't return to you with the expectation that you'll teach them something new. I mean, there are some quality aspects that you talk about, the idea of keeping things in small chunks, 5 to 10 minute, maybe 5 minute video. on how to do things or how to do certain aspects of the tool. We, generally the faculty, whereas you're at a university that's online, your program's online, you really have to focus on the tech and have to get everybody kind of up to speed on the tech that you have all agreed to do. Whereas at my university, we have very limited universal stuff. We have a system we can go in to look for student records, for applications. In my case, that's a big piece that I kind of had to learn and had some good people support me with that. But generally, there's very few very few things out of what's on your personal laptop or your work laptop that we need to know to do. And faculty have gotten much better at using technology over the 25, 30 years that I've been involved in it. And so there's less call for that for me. When I get a new tool I'm really excited about, generally I'm the only person in my program that's excited about it. And we've had this conversation about Slack before and Slack alternatives as ways of communicating. And so so I can't get people excited about using that tool. So I never have to be confronted with the idea of overwhelming somebody with the use of Slack because nobody wants to use it as an alternative within my program. They just want to keep sending emails with lots of CCs on it and long strands of content that I can never find when it's time to go back for the original one.
Right. So you don't even get that far.
No,
To
I don't.
overwhelm.
No, I wish I could. I mean, I get that far with people who aren't in academia, which is kind of cool. I mean, the people that I hang out with outside of academia and outside of you, you're probably the one or two people in academia that gets me around this tech stuff. The people I hang out outside of academia, they get excited about new stuff. So it's like, let me show you my shiny new toy.
Right.
And they're like, oh, that's cool. How did you do that? Like even this platform that we're doing the video on is a shiny new toy for me in the last 8 months. And I've got other colleagues that I do podcasts with, and they're starting to pick up the shiny new toy. So that's kind of the way in which I'm allowed to overwhelm people, because you overwhelm them in it, they think you have magic.
Right.
You control the magic, and you never want to let them know how I don't want to say it's easy, but how everybody can do magic. So,
Right. Yeah. Don't let them behind the curtain. Yeah.
right. Last question that we have is, how can your department create shared resources to reduce repeated requests?
Oh, I don't know. I think this. So we've tried this several different ways, and I think sometimes this is going to sound like a callous answer, but it's getting them to click and go there is a bigger problem than where do you put it. So we've done course shells specifically for faculty where we kind of lump in their resources. We have a few websites that support our content for specific courses, that have things like schedules and activities for our on-site folks who are doing residencies, shared folders in Google Drives. I think we've tried, quite a few different strategies to share resources and kind of trying to get folks to bookmark those and organize those. And you'll have people who will take those, and you'll never get a question from them again because they know where it's at.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll get those who they'll just send the same question every couple of months and not return to the resources. So I think there's tons of ways to think about how you can put that together and what that looks like. But again, buy-in is the challenge we always run into, getting folks to really access that in a meaningful way.
Yeah, for me, I don't build anything within our program to do it. Obviously, we could be doing it if we were using Slack or some sort of shared intercommunication process that would be have a repository for some of this. We don't use things like board effects or anything like that. We unfortunately use Teams.
Mm.
And that is the university approved, university supported system that they will support and use. So they don't support Zoom, but I would say probably 80% of the faculty, when they're doing meetings, are doing them using Zoom, not Teams. Except for the ones that are paranoid that if they get caught using Zoom, somehow they'll get in trouble with the
Right.
university.
Actually,
Yeah. They're, the pre tenure ones are particularly really rule bound by what. And, obviously, if you're doing stuff with FERPA, or with private student information, you're not going to put that on a unapproved platform. So we have some folders. We have a folder for our program and subfolders within the program associated with our teams. And those folders contain things like the latest version of the program of study. Contains all of our completed minutes from our faculty meeting. Things that are important to have in one place and available, particularly if you're KCREP accredited, that's stuff you're going to have to pull out every year or every couple of years as you get ready for accreditation. You need to have that information available for them. So we've gotten better at doing that. It used to be who's got the latest version of the handbook,
Mhm.
and now we have gotten better about keeping that at one location. And what happens is people go to the location, get the document, find something wrong, and then inform somebody to correct it. And our our program of study, which I've inherited the role of addressing that. Our program of study was created in such an insane way by a guy years ago. Good, I mean, he's a good guy. He was a good guy. He passed away, and what we've done is keep adjusting that Word document. So now you can't tell what fields are what in the Word document, and somebody, i.e., me, needs to sit down and just create a new version of it that accomplishes all of that in all of my free spare time, that will be a form that is something that we can more easily adjust or correct when we make changes to the program of study. But that's the place where I find it. I know where to find it. We just made adjustments in it a couple of days ago because someone had suggested corrections and left on the document all of the comment stuff on it.
Mhm.
And it made it kind of useless for all of us until we made the corrections on it, and I had another faculty member who did that. So yeah, that's our shared resource right now is team folders and subfolders. We also have access to like the faculty advisory committee, which is basically our school advisory committee, and they have their own folders. So all of that is good in terms of that, and we don't really create anything for our program and program only, other than what we have on Teams. So. So I don't, in my situation, I don't get a lot of repeated requests on how to do things. People are either figuring it out themselves, finding a resource, and or occasionally when it's like future projects, what ways can we do this? Right now, our university is under a mandate from the state in terms of making sure that faculty are not imposing particular types of points of view on their students. So we're kind of going through the Florida thing. And as a result, one of the questions is if you have a listserv and you are the moderator of that listserv, as faculty do, for different student organizations, like our local chapter of Chi Sigma Iota, our local chapter of Counselors for Social Justice, then if something is posted on it that it could be controversial based on the state bill, the faculty member is liable. Now, so how do you fix that? One of the ways you fix that is students create their own identity group with their own emails that are not associated with an EDU email. And then it becomes a student-driven kind of process without the faculty imposing any of their bias by administrating a listserv. So we're starting to deal with some challenges around the technology, particularly because of this the state bill that we're dealing with in Ohio. So
Yeah,
you know,
adjusting
crazy. Yeah,
based on that. Yeah.
yeah. Crazy is as crazy does. So welcome to the state of. That should be our new state motto.
Crazy. That's crazy stuff.
So yeah, that's what's going on here, and I'm probably going to get in trouble for just saying that. So
Yeah.
please don't tell anybody.
We'll keep it a secret here on the podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, this podcast is not associated with any institution that either you and I work with. It is completely a product of ourselves. I
Right.
hope that stays up. I hope that stands up in my lawsuit that I said that.
The meeting with your attorney immediately following this episode. Yeah.
Any final comments, Eric? Anything you'd like to share?
Now, just to the beginning, the topic was like how to essentially how to make sure that you don't go crazy with this. I think those boundaries you talked about are really important. It's been really helpful for me. And that's the thing I would push the most for folks is to really be mindful of those.
Okay, then let's do a wrap. Look for us on Spotify, TuneIn, Apple Podcasts, and all podcast servers. Also, so you can look at all the previous shows that we've done on YouTube at youtube.com/@TechSavvyProfessor and add comments to it if you want. All the show notes will both be on the podcast in the show notes or the notes of the podcast, and also on the YouTube channel if you want to look at that. Our bumper music is from Philip Gross, Rast, from the Free Music Archive. Everything you need to know is at thepodtalk.net. Look for other shows like Circular Firing Squad. Eric's on Circular Firing Squad. And the one that I'm doing now on Vision, Apple Vision Pro, called Vision Profiles, and other AR, VR type products we talk about on that show. That's it for this episode. Thanks for subscribing to the Tech Savvy Professor.